The beach is one of the most popular vacation spots around the world, but sometimes it's more than just sun and sand. On certain days, the ocean washes up things so strange they leave people stunned. From a massive shark tooth the size of your body to eerie finds along the skeleton coast, here are 15 beach discoveries so unbelievable you wouldn't believe them without footage. Number 15. Hammerhead shark washed ashore. Most people who are scared of sharks will choose to stay on the beach, but in this circumstance it wouldn't have made any difference. A hammerhead shark recently washed up on shore and it was still alive. The people on the beach were obviously terrified and they kept their distance. Some, however, decided it would be the best idea to try to get the shark back into the water. Well, sharks don't have legs, so can't exactly chase you, right? Some of the people gathered on the beach began to look for materials that could be used to help the shark, such as a net or a rope. Others called out to nearby boaters to come and help. In the end, a few brave people were able to put the shark into the water and it swam away, still alive. Residents telling us earlier this morning the shark was even closer to the shoreline. Though it was a risky endeavor, it was well worth the effort. Not only did they help the shark, but they also gave the beachgoers a chance to display their courage and compassion. They also allowed the rest of the people on shore to continue relaxing without having to worry about a writhing shark in the sand just a few meters away from them. Number 14. Massive Goliath grouper. Recently, a massive Goliath grouper fish was pulled up onto the beach in Florida. It was estimated to weigh around 800 pounds. Goliath groupers are a species of fish that are very large in size and can reach weights of up to 800 pounds, meaning this one pretty much maxed out the scales. They're generally found in deeper coastal waters and coral reefs. The fish that was pulled up onto the beach most likely had ventured too close to shore and was pulled in by the waves. It's not uncommon for Goliath groupers to reach such weights, and they can live to be over 50 years old, but seeing them on shore is not a common sight. This grouper was likely a female, as they're much larger than males and can reach a much heavier weight. It's unclear exactly why it was pulled onto the beach, as these fish typically prefer to remain in deeper water. It's possible it could have been caught in a fishing net, though it's more likely that it simply ventured too close to shore. The Goliath grouper is currently an endangered species and it's important they be protected. It's important to make sure that these fish are not overfished or caught in nets, as this could have a devastating impact on their population. This recent occurrence is a reminder of the need to protect these species and ensure they can continue to live in their natural habitats. Number 13. Seafoam. Recently, a bout of incredibly thick seafoam has washed up on shore in Argentina. It's speculated that the foam is caused by an algae bloom and a combination of high winds and swells. The foam is so thick that it's difficult to walk through and has blanketed beaches and roads, blocking traffic. The foam is also a hazard to sea life, as it can trap animals and make it difficult for them to breathe. Local authorities are working to clean up the foam and protect the local wildlife. Despite this though, the beachgoers seem to be enjoying it and taking pictures of themselves in the foam or frolicking in it. Other people have even taken to kayaking in it. Scientists have warned against swimming in the foam as it can be dangerous and cause skin irritation. Additionally, the foam can contain pollutants and other harmful substances. The foam is expected to dissipate naturally. However, authorities are working to speed up the process and clean up the beaches. They're also monitoring the situation to ensure that the event doesn't cause any lasting damage to the area or the local wildlife. Number 12. Rare albino whale. A rare albino whale recently washed up onto a beach in eastern Victoria, and scientists are working to determine why. This is a very sad and concerning discovery. Scientists are looking into the cause of death and will be conducting an examination of the whale to try to determine why it died. It's possible that the whale may have just died from natural causes or from something like pollution, disease, or trauma. It's also possible that the whale may have been hunted by humans, although this is not a common occurrence. After all, Captain Ahab has not been around for a long time to say what it's gone through. The results of the examination should provide more information about the cause of death. The reason the whale was white, albinism, is incredibly rare in whales because they rely on their pigmentation to camouflage and protect them from predators in the wild. Therefore, this particular whale must have been vulnerable and may have been unable to survive in its environment. Scientists will be looking into this further as well, with a particular goal of finding out how the whale survived long enough to grow this large. Specialist police officers have been scouring Yamuna Beach all morning looking for any clues after the discovery of a human jawbone. Now it's time for today's topic. Florida's Atlantic coast was thrown into chaos after a local beachcomber uncovered a discovery so bizarre that authorities were forced to shut down access to miles of shoreline. Early one foggy morning near Daytona Beach, marine enthusiast Daniel Harker stumbled upon a massive tooth partially buried in wet sand. Measuring nearly 2 feet in length and weighing over 15 pounds, the specimen immediately raised questions about its origin. Experts from the Florida Museum of Natural History were called to examine the find. Initial comparisons revealed it did not match the shape or wear patterns of modern great white shark teeth. Instead, the sheer size suggested a connection to the long-extinct Megalodon, a predator believed to have vanished over 3 million years ago. However, the tooth's fresh coloration and sharpness puzzled scientists. It looked far too preserved to be ancient. The U.S. Coast Guard quickly cordoned off the area, citing safety concerns, while speculation erupted online. Some argued the tooth was evidence of a living relic, while skeptics insisted it must have been dislodged from ancient seabeds by storms or dredging. For now, the discovery has sparked both fear and fascination. Whether the find signals a scientific breakthrough or a misunderstood relic, the ocean has once again reminded humanity how little we truly know about what lurks beneath. Number 11. Enormous driftwood. Recently, an absolutely massive piece of driftwood washed up on a beach in the Pacific Northwest. It was so large that many people believed it was an entire ancient tree, but experts concluded that it was, in fact, just a massive piece of driftwood. The driftwood, which was estimated to be an astounding 10,000 years old, was found on a beach in Washington state. It was approximately 35 feet long and weighed an estimated 7,000 pounds. It was also estimated to have traveled over 6,000 miles before it finally washed up on the beach. The discovery of the driftwood was initially met with great excitement. It's freaking gigantic. I mean, look at Krista by the root ball, as many believed it to be a fossilized tree. However, upon closer examination, it was determined to be just a piece of driftwood. Scientists believe that the driftwood originated from the remote Aleutian Islands in Alaska and was carried by currents to the Pacific Northwest. The driftwood has since become a popular tourist attraction and has been featured in multiple news articles. It's a reminder of the power of the ocean and how it can transport objects from thousands of miles away. Okay, yeah, a woman found an object that she couldn't really identify at first, but it's more than 10,000 years old. Number 10. Human jawbone. A 1,000-year-old human jawbone has recently washed up on a beach in Sydney, and experts are trying to determine its origin. To do so, they'll likely use a combination of techniques such as radiocarbon dating, DNA analysis, and isotopic analysis. Radiocarbon dating is a technique that measures the amount of carbon-14 remaining in a sample, allowing scientists to estimate the age of an object. DNA analysis can help identify the species of the jawbone, as well as provide clues as to its geographic origin. Isotopic analysis can then be used to determine the geographic origin of the jawbone by examining the ratios of different isotopes contained in the sample. This technique can also provide insight into what the individual ate and drank in their lifetime. By combining the results of all three techniques, scientists can build a picture of the jawbone's origin and history. Although the jawbone is known to be ancient now, the person who found it likely just believed they'd stumbled on some sort of murder scene. What would you do if you found a human jawbone on a beach after all? The deep ocean is one of the planet's harshest environments. And finally, number 9. Blanket of jellyfish. Thousands of jellyfish were found washed up on Barrington Beach in New South Wales, and the cause is likely due to a combination of multiple environmental factors. The most likely cause is a decrease in water quality due to runoff from land, as well as an increase in ocean temperatures due to climate change. These two factors can lead to algal blooms and deoxygenation of the water, which can be fatal to jellyfish. A decrease in predators due to overfishing can also lead to a population explosion of jellyfish, leading to the mass stranding we've seen at Barrington Beach. For locals, the sight was surreal. Stretching for hundreds of meters, the sand shimmered with a translucent, gelatinous blanket that squished and pulsed in the sunlight. Children who wandered too close had to be pulled back by their parents, while surfers stood at a distance marveling at the eerie spectacle. Marine biologists rushed to the scene, documenting the phenomenon as one of the largest jellyfish strandings in recent years. Some remarked that the beach looked more like an alien landscape than a seaside paradise, as if the tide had carried in creatures from another world. Local fishermen also noted that they had been catching far fewer fish in the weeks leading up to the event, fueling theories that disrupted food chains were playing a role. Social media quickly filled with photos and videos, sparking both fascination and fear among viewers around the globe. Cleanup crews, dressed in protective gear, worked tirelessly alongside the tides, yet every wave seemed to deliver more jellyfish onto the already crowded shore. Because of this, however, the beach was actually quite dangerous to beachgoers for several weeks. Start to touch right through it, as the jellyfish had to be cleaned up both naturally and by the local government. Their stingers, after all, still very much work, and therefore anyone who touched or stepped on one of the jellyfish was in for a rude awakening. It's incredibly bizarre to see such a strange blanket of creatures, but regardless of the number of them, if you ever see a jellyfish on the ground in any capacity, it's a good idea to leave it alone. This orca cried and whined for her pod to come get her when she found herself beached on the sharp rocks. Number 8. Orca stuck on rocks. An orca was recently found stranded on some rocks, and a rescue team was sent to help it. The rescue team first assessed the situation to determine the whale's health. They then slowly approached the orca and calmed it by speaking softly. Before the professionals even arrived, however, the scene had already drawn a crowd of stunned onlookers. Many beachgoers described the orca's cries as haunting, echoing across the shoreline like a desperate plea for survival. Some children began to cry, while others watched in awe, realizing they were witnessing a once-in-a-lifetime event. A few locals compared the sound to that of a dog whining, except deeper and filled with pain. The orca's massive body shifted slightly on the rocks, scraping its skin and causing shallow cuts that began to bleed into the tide. Seabirds circled overhead, drawn by the unusual commotion, while waves continued to crash relentlessly against the rocks, threatening to worsen the animal's injuries. Volunteers rushed back and forth with buckets of seawater to keep its skin wet, working together without hesitation despite the danger of being so close to the thrashing tail. Others formed a human chain to pass towels, blankets, and supplies, creating an impromptu rescue network until experts could take over. They then created a makeshift stretcher and gently placed the orca onto it before carrying it back to the water. Once the orca was safely back in the sea, the team monitored it to make sure it was swimming away safely. They also took samples of the water and tested it for any pollutants. Before any of this could happen, however, the only people nearby were the beachgoers who were near the rock outcropping. They had begun to wet their towels and rest them on the orca's skin to shield it from the sun, and many began splashing water in its face to make sure it stayed moisturized. In all honesty, it's very likely that the whale only survived due to the kindness of the people on the beach, and without those towels, it's very likely that the sun would have killed it very quickly. This is an unprecedented biological catastrophe. Experts are stunned. Number 7. Giant squid washed up. The giant squid is a creature that tends to remain very deep within the waters of the ocean, which is what made it incredibly strange to find one washed up on shore. This squid was found on the shore of Massachusetts in 2018 and was extremely rare because it was estimated to be over 30 feet long. The sight immediately drew crowds of stunned locals, some of whom compared it to legends of the Kraken from old sailor tales. Marine biologists rushed to the scene, eager to collect samples and study the animal before decomposition set in. Its massive tentacles, lined with suction cups the size of dinner plates, were tangled in the sand like a pile of shipwrecked ropes. Even more shocking was the size of its eyes, each nearly the diameter of a human head, designed to capture even the faintest glimmer of light in the deep. Witnesses described the skin as smooth and rubbery, with a shimmering hue that shifted in the sunlight, a stark reminder that this was a creature built for a world almost alien to ours. Some theorized it may have died during a battle with a sperm whale, one of its few natural predators, before currents carried its body ashore. Others suggested changing ocean temperatures might be forcing deep-sea giants closer to the surface than ever before. For many who saw it, the squid's body was both awe-inspiring and unsettling, blurring the line between science and myth. The discovery of this giant squid was especially exciting because very little is known about these creatures. Scientists believe that they may have evolved to become so large because they live in the deep ocean where there's little competition for food. The giant squid is an incredibly unique creature, and its discovery has shed light on the mysteries of the deep ocean. Its presence is a reminder of the vast and unexplored depths of the ocean and the weird, strange, and cool creatures that inhabit it. Some people believe that finding it washed up on shore is an omen and that it was caused by something incredibly dangerous all the way to the sand. Although we don't know exactly what could do that, it's certainly ominous to think about. Personally, I just think it's caused by climate. Now there's something you don't see every day. Fishermen in Canada recently happened upon an incredible sight. Number 6. Hundreds of whales washed up. A survey plane flying over Patagonia recently found something chilling. Hundreds of dead whales washed up on the shores of an island. This is an extremely concerning discovery and a massive cause for alarm. As the plane circled back for a closer look, the vast stretch of coastline appeared like a graveyard, with the massive bodies sprawled out across the sand in every direction. Scientists who later arrived at the site described the silence as haunting, with the only sound being the wind sweeping across the desolate beach. Local residents reported a foul odor drifting inland for days before the whales were even discovered, hinting at how long the tragedy had been unfolding unnoticed. Photographs showed calves lying next to fully grown adults, suggesting entire pods perished together. Some experts speculated that harmful algal blooms, known as red tides, could have poisoned the whales en masse, as similar events have devastated marine mammals in the past. Others pointed to sonar disruptions from naval exercises, which have been linked to mass strandings in other parts of the world. Volunteers who arrived at the scene were overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the carcasses, describing the effort to document and study them as one of the largest operations of its kind. For the indigenous communities of Patagonia, The whales' deaths carried a cultural and spiritual weight, as whales have long been revered as symbols of power and guidance in their traditions. The whales appear to have died from some kind of trauma, as they all have injuries and signs of distress. Scientists are still trying to determine the cause of the deaths, but it's likely the result of climate change or direct human activity. Pollution, noise pollution, and overfishing are all potential causes that need to be investigated. There are also many who believe that it could have been some sort of predator within the ocean that scared them onto the shore, but nobody knows for sure. This tragic discovery is a reminder of the devastating effects of human activity on the environment and the importance of taking action to protect wildlife. The whale's death should also prompt us to take a closer look at the various threats to marine life and consider how we can work to reduce them. Number 5. The Skeleton Coast. The Skeleton Coast is an area of the Namib Desert in Namibia where the Atlantic Ocean meets the desert. It's known for its desolate landscape and for being the final resting place of many ships that have been wrecked by the treacherous ocean currents, cold water, and dense fog. Over the centuries, sailors who found themselves stranded here often faced grim fates, as the desert offered little food or water and escape routes were nearly impossible. Some shipwrecks still sit eerily intact, their rusting hulls half buried in sand, while the bones of sailors and animals lie scattered nearby. Stories are told of whalers who managed to drag lifeboats ashore, only to perish wandering the endless dunes. The coast is littered with the skeletons of whales, reminders of an era when whaling ships frequently crashed against the reefs. For modern visitors, these wrecks serve as ghostly monuments, silent testimonies to the dangers of seafaring life. Despite the haunting history, nomadic tribes such as the Himba have long survived along this coastline, mastering the art of desert survival in a place few would dare call home. Explorers of the past called it the land god made in anger, a phrase that still resonates when you stand among the fog-draped sands. Even today, pilots flying over the region describe the view as one of the most surreal landscapes on Earth, where the vast ochre desert seems to melt directly into the icy Atlantic waters. The coast is also home to a number of species of wildlife, including desert elephants, seals, jackals, hyenas, and many species of birds. The coast is named as such because of the bleached remains of animals and ships that have been wrecked along the coast. The area is known for having one of the most treacherous coastlines in the world, with strong ocean currents and thick fogs, making it difficult for ships to navigate. The area has also been a source of danger for explorers and traders who face the risk of running aground or being attacked by predators. Despite its inhospitable environment, the Skeleton Coast is an important part of Namibia's tourism industry, with many visitors traveling to the area to experience its unique wildlife and landscape. The area is home to several national parks and conservation areas, which are dedicated to preserving and protecting the delicate environment of the region. Number 4. Woolly mammoth remains. The remains of a woolly mammoth were recently discovered on a beach in northern Siberia. They were discovered by a team of paleontologists from the Russian Academy of Sciences. The remains are estimated to be around 10,000 years old and included a skull and tusk fragment. As the scientists brushed away the sand, they realized the tusk fragments were unusually well preserved, retaining grooves that suggested the animal had used them to dig through snow in search of vegetation. Nearby, they also uncovered remnants of plant matter trapped in the soil, which could provide clues about the mammoth's final meals before it perished. The harsh winds and frigid temperatures of the Siberian coast may have acted like a natural freezer, preserving the bones for thousands of years. Some researchers speculated that the mammoth may have wandered dangerously close to thin ice and fallen through, eventually being carried toward the shoreline. Others suggested that rising sea levels during the end of the Ice Age might have shifted carcasses inland and then revealed them again centuries later. Local villagers, upon hearing the news, flocked to the site, fascinated to see a creature they had only known from legends and textbooks. The excitement surrounding the discovery sparked renewed discussions about whether frozen mammoth DNA could one day play a role in de-extinction projects aimed at bringing the species back. Researchers are currently analyzing the remains and conducting tests to determine the exact age and species of the mammoth. This discovery is significant because it's the first time in the region that remains of a woolly mammoth have been found. This discovery will help scientists to better understand the evolution of mammoths and the environment of northern Siberia during the Pleistocene epoch. What's interesting is that mammoths are generally not found in that part of the country, so it's odd to see one so close to the ocean. It might indicate that they traveled there for some purpose, though for what purpose remains unknown. A rare albino whale feared to be the world's most famous white humpback. Number 3. Octopus versus bald eagle. If we were to ask you how often bald eagles and octopi interacted, you'd probably say never. And you'd mostly be right, except in this instance where a bald eagle was seen fighting an octopus. They seemed to both be fighting over a fish, and the octopus was trying to pull the eagle deep into the water while the eagle was trying to lift the octopus out of the sea. Witnesses described the scene as something out of a nature documentary, talons locked into writhing tentacles, wings thrashing against the spray, and suction cups clinging desperately to feathers. At one point, the eagle's head nearly dipped below the surface, and many thought it would drown before it could escape. The octopus, on the other hand, wrapped its arms tighter around both the fish and the bird, determined not to lose its meal. Onlookers shouted in disbelief as the animal spun in a fierce tug-of-war that sent ripples across the shallow waters. Some tourists later said it was the most surreal moment of their lives, watching two apex hunters, one from the air and one from the sea, locked in such a primal contest. The clash lasted only minutes, but it felt like an eternity to those watching, as the balance of power shifted back and forth with every beat of the eagle's wings. Wildlife experts who later reviewed the footage explained that these kinds of encounters are exceedingly rare, making the video an invaluable glimpse into the unpredictability of nature. This action scene occurred incredibly close to the beach, meaning that several people actually got to watch it happening in real time. There were also several people with cameras that captured the event, showing the vicious battle to the world. It's probably not a surprise that the eagle eventually won and got away with its prize. The octopus didn't really stand a chance, but it definitely put on a brave act for fighting against such a mysterious predator to it. Imagine just a giant winged creature trying to snatch your dinner away. Well, you tried your best. It's a veritable jellyfish haven on the beaches of Crimea. Number 2. Cyclops shark. The Cyclops shark is a rare deep-sea creature. It's a freaky-looking species of frilled shark, and its scientific name is Chlamydocelicus anguineus. It's so named due to its large, singular eye socket located near the front of its head. Deep-sea fishermen who have stumbled upon one often describe the sight as both eerie and mesmerizing, as if staring into a creature from a forgotten age. Some even believe that the Cyclops shark could be the inspiration behind old sailor legends of one-eyed sea monster. Because of its bizarre appearance, specimens that wash ashore often cause a stir in local communities, drawing crowds eager to catch a glimpse of the so-called alien shark. Its biology has puzzled scientists, with many wondering if the single eye is a developmental deformity or a naturally recurring genetic mutation within deep-sea populations. In fact, one particularly famous specimen discovered in Mexico in 2011 was preserved for research, sparking debates in the marine biology community about how these creatures adapt to extreme darkness. Tales surrounding these sharks often weave into myth, with locals suggesting they may be guardians of the deep or harbingers of shifting ocean currents. While most encounters end with simple curiosity, others raise concern that sightings of Cyclops sharks could point to larger ecological changes deep below the waves. It's a sluggish animal found in depths down to 5,000 feet and is typically about 4 to 6 feet long. Its diet consists of small fish and squid. The Cyclops shark is rarely seen due to its deep-sea habitat, but in recent years has been spotted more by scientists and deep-sea divers. A specimen was recently discovered on a beach, which was incredibly concerning. The creature is unable to survive at such low pressure after all, considering its used to being at the bottom of the ocean. Some believe that it may have been chased to the surface by some predator, while others think it was pulled to the surface by a fisherman and discarded, or maybe it was just ocean currents. Regardless, it's likely that one of these strange animals will never be seen on a beach again, making this a fascinating, unique experience. Number 1. Bull loose on beach. Buza la Mar is a traditional Spanish event where a bull is released into the sea and people gather to watch it swim out to sea. The event is said to bring good luck and is usually celebrated in coastal towns and villages as part of the summer festivities. The event usually takes place on a Saturday morning and is attended by hundreds of people. As the atmosphere builds, crowds line the harbor walls, cheering loudly as the animal bursts into view. Children sit on their parents' shoulders for a better look, while vendors sell food and drinks, turning the seaside into a festival ground. Musicians often play traditional tunes, adding to the carnival-like atmosphere that contrasts sharply with the tension of the bull's movements. The animal's entry into the water is met with a mix of nervous laughter, applause, and shouts as the bull thrashes against the waves. Local fishermen sometimes assist from their boats, guiding the animal gently while maintaining a safe distance, ensuring the spectacle continues smoothly. Traditionally, the bull is decorated with ribbons and flowers and is released from a small boat into the sea. Thank you. Spectators then watch from the shore as the bull swims away. The part of the ceremony not usually seen, however, is the bull running around rapidly on the beach beforehand. It looks like it's either incredibly angry or incredibly happy to be in the predicament, or maybe it just doesn't want to swim out into the ocean. The bull is generally led back to shore by the boat out in the ocean, but the ceremony has long been criticized as being cruel to the animal. It's likely that we'll see reform for the event within the next several years. Which of these beach discoveries do you think was the most unbelievable? Do Do you believe scientists will ever be able to fully explain all the strange things happening along the world's coastlines? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us know what kind of content you love, so we can bring you more of it. Tap the bell icon if you're always curious to learn new things, and we'll see you in the next one.